We're going to change things up a little bit for you tonight. What we want to do is break it up into three little pieces here. The first part will be to answer any questions you may have regarding the project reports that were provided to you in your packet. We have Public Works staff here ready to answer your questions if you have any. Excuse me. Part two will be a brief report by our manager of the recycling program, Mr. Peter DeLillo, who will give a brief overview of the results of Saturday's Household Hazardous Waste event. And then part three is going to be a presentation by Mr. Colin Wilson from the IT department regarding the GIS program in the city and how it interacts with Public Works, or how we interact with GIS. So first of all, I'll ask if you have any questions regarding the reports that were provided to you, and if so, we'll get the appropriate staff up here to answer the questions.
Come on. Good staff.
Were there any significant changes to the projects
We'll start
from the last event?
Steve.
No, sir. No. Just finishing up some of the taking off.
George, anything significant?
The only thing I'd say is Bunny Trail timeline might be moved forward a little bit. I'm still kind of formulating that. There were some drainage issues that we're working through, so I've got an aggressive timeline. I might be a little bit delayed on that, but other than that, no.
Christina?
I only have one major change, and that is emergency repair for South Nolan Creek. That we had a drainage project already scheduled for that section of the creek. A private road failed. We're in the process of trying to expedite that, and so there will be briefings on that and memos coming forward on that.
Are there any questions from staff on any of these? And Peter, you want to come on up and make a brief report? We had a very successful household hazardous waste collection event Saturday. I think it was a record breaker. So.
Good evening. Just want to give you a rundown about the household hazardous waste collection event that we had at the City Conference Center on Saturday. In my 2012 budget, I was provided funds to run a household hazardous waste collection event for the City of Killeen. However, I was able to get a grant from the Central Texas Council of Government, which is a pass-through from the state, a solid waste funding grant, and we were able to multiply that. The caveat that we opened it up to the counties that are, the residents of the counties that are in the Central Texas Council of Government area. So we're able to do that, and the college has been doing those kinds of funding for about the past 10 years. This collection event helped to protect the Lampasas, Leon, and Little River watersheds. The Central Texas Council of Government contracts with a household hazardous waste company that handles all the material. It's not done by the cities or host cities or the COG. We're not knowledgeable on the proper procedures for handling all that material. And they have all the methods set in place to handle the material through recycling or some other means of disposal. And that company is called PSC Environmental. They're a statewide and actually nationwide company. For this event, we also had an electronics collection. That's been requested several times, and I was able to identify a company just recently, Global Environmental Services out of Austin, to handle that process. And then the other members of the Council of Government Solid Waste Advisory Committee like to have a tire collection during these household hazardous waste collection events. So that was funded also by the Central Texas Council of Governments. And we pulled up one tire trailer and had an overflow. So over 1,000 tires were brought in for that. As was mentioned, this was a very successful event. We had approximately 700 vehicles that came through. Some of those vehicles had material from several households. So we actually served more than 700 people in our council of government area. I had volunteers from Harper Heights, citizens of Killeen Youth Advisory Committee, and Keep Killeen Beautiful. We had 11 employees from the city of Killeen, 7 of mine, and other ones were from the drainage. Maintenance Division. Parker Heights provided an employee, I'm not sure if he was a volunteer or assigned to do the work, Mark Hyde from their Public Works Department, and also one of their councilmen volunteered to help out Mr. Robinson. Of note, we took in about 350 gallons of latex paint that was saved and going to be processed and used or given to the Habitat for Humanity. The benefit of that, the main one for the operation, is that we're not paying that contractor to handle that paint. And it's all the stuff that they handle is very expensive to get rid of, so there's a benefit there. Habitat can use it, bucket it into 5-gallon, transfer it to 5-gallon buckets and be able to sell it or use it on their projects. And it will also be used in the city of Killeen's graffiti abatement program. About 540 gallons of automotive oil and 90 gallons of antifreeze were recovered. This is kind of an amazing number considering that places such as AutoZone and Park West and Walmart and the Killeen Recycling Center accept oil on a daily basis. And yet all that oil was brought in. It's quite a bit of material. We took in 150 plus or minus lead acid batteries, and that already garnered us $207. Those have already been sent to market. We received about 30 pounds of alkaline batteries, and the electronics company has already given me a report on over 20,000 pounds of electronics were collected during that event. And I'll have a more detailed report as the Council of Government gets a report on numbers of people, where they came from. We do a questionnaire at the beginning as people come into the event, and then we'll eventually, of course, get a detailed report from the contractor. That's the way they charge us based on the type of material and the amount of material and how it has to be handled. Any questions?
Mayor, Council, I would just mention that we do have copies of the report or the preliminary findings of the report that you were provided with that we left up here for any of the audience that want to pick them up. And then Mr. Colin Wilson will talk now about GIS.
All right, how y'all doing today? I'm going to talk a little bit about, do a presentation, briefly describe our history, who we are, what we do, and our interaction with the Public Works Department. Our primary mission is to collect, store, and manage city asset location. You're going to hear me use that term a lot, assets. We also collect attribute information and serve that information up to the people who need it. Basically, if the city owns it, we want to go collect the spatial location about it and then serve that up to the people. We identify targets, like different departments, that we think need to use the information for cost savings, applications, and software implementation. We train the technology, we train the users, implement the technology, and then provide the support to keep them up and running. So why use GIS? The top 5 benefits of GIS are cost savings and increased efficiency. Okay? The ability to manage your assets geographically. Obviously, better decision making comes after that, and improved communication, and better record keeping. So the GIS division resides within the IT department. And additionally, there are other GIS positions in planning to manage the land-based data. That would be like the parcels, the street center line, and ETJ, things like that. There's some GIS responsibility that resides within the environmental service division as well. The GIS department started in the year 2000. So who's using the GIS? Fire, police, code enforcement, building inspections, streets, environmental services, transportation, planning, solid waste, water, sewer, engineering, CDBG, golf course, parks, and IT. Almost everybody in the city is using it. If they're not using it, we're looking to expand out to them and get them to use it. We've also had a public website out there since 2003. You've heard me say assets a lot. Here's an example of what the database looks like. I know you can't read all that, but a fire hydrant is an example of a single asset. There's 44 things that Public Works wants to know about that fire hydrant. We have 4,315 fire hydrants in the database. It's about 190,000 pieces of information just on that single asset. All right, GIS and Public Works working together. This is a 14 bullet list of items or projects that we've worked on together, ongoing, some have passed, some are ongoing. Map books. We generate these map books. I have samples right here. Feel free to come look at them after the presentation and ask me any questions. The fire map book, this one right here, we presented in a 5-state map book competition and won first place in, I think it was 2007. This one right here won first place in the same competition in 2010. This is the water map book that goes in all the fire, the water and sewer crews. There's water crews, sewer crews that go out and do maintenance and repair. They keep these map books with them so they can see where the assets are located. All right, we also have 5 websites that support public works projects. There would be the Killeen Street Master Plan, CIP sewer projects, water CIP projects, mowing areas, and what we call Killeen Utility One, which is a website that has all the water and sewer information inside of it. What's important here is it's internal to the city of Killeen only and it's password protected. This is an example of one of those sites. This is the mowing area, a snapshot of the mowing area website. The assistant city manager, Don Christian, was here. He called, got a lot of calls concerning mowing, and he couldn't quite know how to answer the questions, so he knew a lot of people were performing mowing activities. Actually, there's 7 different sections. So he asked us to meet with all these folks, collect their information, and get it into one area where he could understand it and answer questions efficiently. That's what we did. We came up drawing 136 areas of mowing maintenance. On the left, you can see it's kind of color-coded. Each department is color-coded. On the right, I blew it up. That's a section that the solid waste department takes care of. You can see it was pretty tedious work. It came out to nearly 1 billion square feet that gets mowed a year. Pretty big number. All right, transportation. How does GIS support transportation? An example of that would be when Tremere and Watercrest Road widening project was going on. I apologize for misspelling Tremere. I think I lived here 35 years and I get that right. But, so what happened on that project, there was a cost estimate to do the design work on that project, and George came to us and asked us if we could go in the field, collect some information, and maybe offset some of that design cost. So we did that. We spent 3 days in the field, spent about $1,200 in labor, and got a new cost estimate from the contractor, and it was $88,000 less. So in essence, we saved $88,000 on the project. There are also CityWorks customers. You'll hear me talk a little bit more about that. That's an asset management software that we use in a lot of public works areas. It's used for work orders and service requests. GI support for environmental services. An example of that would be support for Christina and her people in the Phase 2 MS4 TCEQ permit requirements. The GIS went out and did field work, collected GPS information on a little over 5 miles of creeks and drainage ditches, as well as helped out on the emergency activities during the 2010 flood. There are also CityWorks clients. Fire hydrant project. Last year we started a fire hydrant project. We felt the need to go out and get better location information about the fire hydrants as well as the number of fire hydrants that we had. So we did that. We went out and we touched every single fire hydrant in the city, collected a GPS point and logged information about each hydrant. We came up with 4,315 hydrants, which helped us migrate in and fix it all the locations. But the good part was we found 711 hydrants that we didn't know we had. This is a big one for us, water and sewer data maintenance. In the GIS division, we take care of all of the ongoing maintenance in water and sewer data, like new subdivisions, new streets, anything along those lines. What you're looking at there is a snapshot of the fire hydrant project. The yellow circles are fire hydrants that have been corrected location-wise, and the red ones are still to be done. Telelog FlowDAR. What this is a software hardware configuration that tracks wastewater flow. They're set up into vaults and lift stations. We actually have 7 of them. That's for the pictures are an example of what the hardware looks like, how it might sit down into a manhole or a vault. The way this works is it logs information every so often and sends that into a server, an IT room, and then actually it feeds that up to a website that Steve can then use to get analysis and information from. The sanitary sewer evaluation survey. The pipeline analysis was hired to do a wastewater collection system rehabilitation program. They provided those services on the left. The GIS role was to manage the data as it started coming back into the city, and also work with pipeline analysis to ensure a high level of accuracy. The online valve location and trace tool. This is a pretty cool little tool. It sits inside the Clean Utility website. It's that little red tool up there in the middle. What this does is when there's a water break in the city, one of the toughest things to do is locate the valves, turn off the water, isolate the line, do the repair. The guys can fix them really fast, but sometimes it's hard to find those valves. What this does is you can go into the map, select the water line that's busted or leaking or whatever, hit the tracing tool, it traces out to all the valves, creates a report, boom, you can go right to them. It's online so they can do this in their trucks. Solid waste container management application. Solid Waste called us up and asked us to help them automate a process that was manual for them, working off of paper lists and Excel spreadsheets. The containers move around a lot, dumpsters, trash cans, and working through those lists, just sorting to find a particular can serial number was a big task. So we built this front end for them and it helps them manage to find things more efficiently. The solid waste special application, special collections application. You know, we do, the solid waste department collects trash on a particular day, and the way they used to do it, if you had something extra besides your trash can, you had a sofa or something, that's an extra charge, an extra small fee. They would take this tag right here, fill out the information on the top and bottom, it's perforated. Then they would turn this tag off, get a camera out of the truck, take a picture, and every time they found one, they would have to do that. At the end of the day, there was typically 150 of those perforated tags that they would then turn in to a staff member in the solid waste department. The next day she would come in and she would spend all day, between 6 and 7 hours, of manually entering that information into the HDE or our financial system that the water bill comes out of. So what we did is we got these little ticket writers, loaded all the address information in here, mounted these printers in the trucks, and now when they roll up to an event like that, you find the address in here, print the ticket, it prints out of here, you don't have no more handwriting, they fix it to the can like they normally would. When they get back in the office, they take this unit, put it in a docking station, it syncs the data up to the database. No longer does any staff member have to spend 6 or 7 hours manually inputting that information. What you're looking at on there is, on the left, the lower two pictures, is an interface for the customer, the citizens. On the ticket, there's a ticket number. They can go access the website, all the information's on the ticket, and they can look at the picture of what was in front of their address if they had a question. And on the right is the website that staff uses, and it contains a lot of different features, but on the bottom you can see there's a summary portion right there. On that particular day, there was 131 events. Sanitary sewer overflow application. Whenever there's a sanitary sewer overflow in the city, it's required that TCEQ be notified. There's a notification form there on the right. It was a manual process for them. They would go out, and it was reported, do what they had to do to contain the spill, come back to the office, we'll fill it out on site, and then mail a form up to TCEQ. What we did was automate the process where they can go into the Utility One website, select that manhole, and at the bottom there, there's a little link to that form, and they can fill it out online. So that form is now linked to that manhole forever, as opposed to being detached before. CityWorks, Asset Management Software Solution. This is a software that's built for GIS asset management. So we acquired the software, implemented the software, and learned how to be trainers of the software, and then pushed it out to the departments that were ready for it. And what it does, basically, you can go into the map, start the work order, which is what it looks like on the bottom there. You can fill in, you can assign the work order to a person and then save it, and it automatically generates an email to that person, which is the work order on the right, the white picture right there. So it automates it, and it also connects that work order to that asset so you can make maps, see where all of your labor or cost has been expended during the year. All right. CityWorks and GIS and Public Works community activities. We do a whole bunch of other stuff besides the stuff I just showed you. But one of the things we do is GIS Day. It's kind of a big event for us in November. There's a bunch of science days. We go to elementary schools and help those guys out. The Earth Fest is a big deal for us. Copper's Cove Eco Harvest. We're really into the education part on geography and so that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, sir, I would just say that it's those very systems that make us more efficient and provide services much better. It's been a long time coming. It's been steady progress and getting a little better each and every day. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Fine are keeping us up to speed and pushing our information. And if you don't mind, I would say as part of the Public Works presentation, we did lay to rest a dear friend of ours and a valuable team member and our Director of Solid Waste, Wayne McBride, this past week. So if you would please keep Wayne and his family in thoughts and prayers. Mr. Macchi and his team will pick up the pieces from the Solid Waste Division to ensure that we're still able to conduct our jobs as we're supposed to. He was very close to retiring.
I have one question. These transportation projects, are any of them being held up for any reason at all?
You talking about the projects under design?
Any of the projects here, are they being held up? Any reason at all?
Well, everyone has barriers that I'm working through, that we're working through, like FAA clearance and issues on Rosewood. The one that I'm really encouraged about the most is the downtown. We're real close to getting TxDOT approval letter on that. That'll allow us to advertise, and I could have that in hand in the next couple of weeks. So we'll release that. But everyone has had issues as far as project hurdles.
But they're not being held up for any reason that the city can't respond to. I mean, any problem.
Not at this time.
You need.
We don't really have anything bid ready right now. I think is the best question today.
Okay.
And just to tag along to that, Mr. Floyd and myself will be at the Cassidy board meeting in about an hour to present update on transportation projects and so forth as it pertains to their transportation needs with all their busing and also schools that will be affected by these projects.
I'm looking for solutions that there's nothing in there about something because you can make decisions. That's all. Everybody else is good. Thank you. Next meeting is on March the 20th.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments you want to make?
And I will say on March 20th, that will be our first public forum for the budget. It'll be here in this room. We will advertise that, Ms. Shine. We'll have that information out. We'll post it everywhere we need to. It'll be that first opportunity to hear from citizens of what is of interest as we go into the budget process.
Citizens will be allowed to ask questions or comments?
Yes, sir. We'll have a quick presentation and then just go right into questions.
We'll make sure that all the citizens realize that people will come and ask questions about the budget.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And much like our preliminary budget discussion discussion. Staff will begin development March 21st, the very next day. And then we'll have another, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I believe it was June 6th, somewhere early June, with another public forum for budget. The developmental process takes place March through about the 1st of July. We'll deliver that document to the mayor and council